we're blogging again. I don't know if this is a day or a week video, probably a day. We've got them boards glued up, as you saw in the video, just wide boards that were cupped, so they wouldn't have held up to size. So I ripped them down, planed them up and glued them back together to get my nice wide boards ready for my drawers, without losing too much thickness in the material. Today I'm going to actually make that drawer because I'm a little bit concerned that these wide boards will cup if I leave them too long in the workshop. I want to get that drawer made and dovetailed together and glued up so that it sort of almost holds itself if there's any movement going to be occurring. First job to do is shove that through the wide belt. I've finished the planing at 60mm and I want a 15mm finish. So I've just got a 120 grit paper in here and slowly going down about 0.1 of a mil per pass as I push it through the wide belt sander. So I want to stop about 0.4 of a mil away from a finished thickness with the 120 grit and then swap to the 240, and it takes that sort of 0.2 of a mil minimum to get rid of the grain, the sanding grains from the 240. Oak is actually really nice to sand, like really hard dry oak is perfect because this bit of paper was gummed up from sanding some softwood, so I've actually put it in backwards in the machine and sanded that oak, and it's pretty much cleaned it up to perfect again. These have been through the wide belt now, and you can see that they're within 0.05 of a mil in thickness because the wide belt was dead accurate, and short of a little bit of flex in the timbers, they are dead true and flat. So get these cut to size. 2 of them are actually just end boards, but I got them all out at full length so I could choose the best 2 for the longer ones. But I'm going to cut that knot out. I normally like to keep a lot of character in, but I'm going to cut sort of this side of there, have my dovetail sort of starting right on the edge of that knot, so that I'll keep this one and there's a bit of character in the drawer. That's a little bit too gaudy to keep in like a fancy kitchen, I think, unless it's a real country look you're going for. Because I'm using half blind dovetails on these, the 590 drawer box wants to be a cut length. Now for the cut list to get these out of timber, I've just got the sizes there on as they come off the drawer. But it's going to depend on what style of dovetail you're using as to the actual finish cut size. So as an example here, the sides of the drawer, so it'll be the length of the drawer runner, that side of the drawer needs to be less whatever the half blind dovetail leaves on the end of the pins there. So in my case, my setup is 3.5mm at each end. So I need to knock 7mm off that 590 to get my cut length for this piece of timber on the drawer side. So that's really important to remember that. I've got my wide offcuts here that I've just cut a straight edge on. They're the same thickness or width of the drawer box. I've already got the dovetail jig out because I've been doing some stuff for some of the inserts in this kitchen. So it's nice to have all that set up. Basically, I'll just keep that little bit of wood. This is the ID, as in the ideal piece of wood for the 128 cutter. And just set that in so these butt up against the pins here, and just set the cutter height in the router so that it just brushes this, and it'll produce the perfect dovetail out the back of it. It's really quick to set up. It's like once you've got the collet and the bit in the router, it's sort of a 2 or 3 minute process and you're pretty much guaranteed to come out with a decent dovetail. Just using the screw setting and torque 1 on the drill with it's a Craig square-ended bit. I always keep the points together because that way you get the nicest looking, sort of the smallest dovetail, and the quality of a dovetail is all about how small it is. Instinctively, when you first get this, you kind of want to put the set it up like that so the rounded ends are together, but it's not how you want to do it. You want to do it that way around. These don't have to be particularly accurate in terms of the gap, because it just works it all out for you. It doesn't matter if one's 11 and one's 10, you probably won't see it in the joint. About the only time I ever use a torque setting is going into metal, like metal fastenings. That's pretty beautiful, if you ask me. I love that machine, I really do. I think that is a great bit of kit, and I will never change the settings from that if I don't have to. Just half-blind dovetails. They're beautiful, they're perfect. And how good does that look? One thing I do, which you'll probably noticed on the cutting list, is I've added a mil on. So where you want 12 mil of clearance in the width of the drawer for the Blum runners, I've only allowed 11 in the cut length of the front and back of the drawer. And I just push the dovetailing machine so it's cutting a 15.5 mil deep equivalent of the side of the drawer. So it cuts a little bit deeper than you perhaps want. So you get this little protrusion out the end of the joint. That's really nice to have so that you can just run down with the belt sander and take that off afterwards. What I hate to see is that these are slightly short after glue up and you have to sand some of the drawer side down to meet the ends of this. That's the reason why I wanted to do this drawer now, is that that joint is so strong it will hold those timbers dead nice and straight. So I'll dovetail them up. Now you've seen one being done, you don't really need to see that. This roller stand's been really good actually for stuff like this. It can go low enough to work off a sustainer or off your mitre saw, but just for supporting big bits of wood when you need something just the right height, you can dial it in on the little thumb wheel, wind it up until it takes the slack off there. Perfect. Trend sponsor the channel, but I'll leave a link to that one down below in the description box. That is a great little tool. Let's just test the fit on one of these. A bit more reliable to clamp them than bash them together when they're quite tight. That is the perfect dovetail, look at that. So I'm actually going to leave these, now that they're machined, I'm not too worried, I can definitely clamp these straight. If these boards start to bow or anything, the dovetails, and when I glue them together and clamp them, will hold the board straight. But I was just worried that it'd be tricky to machine them if they'd got a bit of a bow in them. So I'm going to leave them now, get the rest of the drawers up to the same stage as them, and I can push them all through the spindle mould, do all the bevels and the grooves for the drawer bottoms all at the same time. Thanks for watching and see you next time.